This narrative was composed at the request of members from a window installation crew. At the factory entrance where window installation teams gathered, Yevgeny Ivanovich Kostyukov, commonly known as the Nose, emerged suddenly and approached the men with a peculiar sideways hop, exuding unnatural enthusiasm. He concocted another unpleasant scheme, thought Vitalik. No need for fortune-telling to know he devised a new way to torment us. The Nose's delighted visage glowed like Christmas tree illuminations, a distinctive red-blue hue. Particularly noticeable was his substantial olfactory apparatus, displaying gradients from burgundy to violet. Yevgeny Ivanovich had dual passions: imbibing alcoholic beverages and consuming YouTube channels about business optimization, sales techniques, and various management methodologies. Following such evening sessions before his computer screen, employees under his supervision frequently faced revised sales strategies for plastic windows. Installation crews regularly received modified responsibilities. Currently, they were instructed to establish rapport with customers by initiating engaging conversations during window installations. Vitalik harbored vengeful fantasies about when the Nose might cross boundaries, imagining how Tigran, the temperamental worker from the 2nd Brigade, would deliver physical retribution. Unfortunately, the Nose maintained sufficient self-restraint. After circling the installation workers who were leaning against a windowsill, Yevgeny Ivanovich smiled contentedly and, shaking a bundle of invoices, began speaking animatedly. "Everyone, listen attentively. Today we have a new supplier. Windows will be collected from the factory at Skava-Tarskaya Street, Building 3 halves. It's within the industrial zone. Enter through the barrier gate. Mention re there for windows and they direct you." What's this about? Isn't our regular factory satisfactory anymore? Tigran Borneo gestured emphatically, appearing characteristically confrontational toward his supervisor. Why travel to such a remote location? Skava? I don't recall such a street, and they resided here for 15 years. Remote indeed. Tigran, the Nose grimaced, advancing toward Tigran with delivery forms. According to these invoices, collect 4 windows and deliver them to my dacha. It's a complimentary gift from our suppliers to me. Vitalik examined the invoice stack suspiciously, then assessed his manager, clad in a gray zipper jacket and inappropriately tight trousers, and scratched his shoulder beneath his coverall strap before expressing collective concern. "Gennady Ivanich, couldn't you find a closer supplier? Why these changes? Marahin, you comprehend nothing about business operations. That's precisely why you pose such questions. With entrepreneurial thinking, you occupy my position now. Their procurement costs are reduced, while our regular manufacturer imposes excessive prices. The factory's production has deteriorated since Ivan's appointment. He merely introduces innovations that everyone resists. Why refuse their offer? We increase profits. I might authorize December bonuses for you, potentially, if you demonstrate commitment." "Andrei, are you listening?" Marahin's colleague had been engrossed in his phone, dismissing the supervisor's rhetoric. Andrei was unusually communicative today, atypical for his character. The manager continued once Andrei's attention was secured. It's a modest, new factory producing quality windows. German manufacturing for the glass units. We collaborate with them. Recommend them to your acquaintances so everyone knows we supply superior windows. Perhaps we should distribute flyers featuring their Instagram handle? Tigran remarked sarcastically. Continue speaking excessively and you distribute promotional materials outside Pyatarachka supermarket advertising sausage discounts. The Nose responded immediately. Now for today's assignments. Vitalik, you handle this address. Tigran, who's partnering with you today? Kolbin, the installer averted his gaze. Kolbin, where is that gypsy? This is unacceptable. Why hasn't he arrived? His mother fell ill. I'll collect him shortly. Tigran fabricated. internally cursing the unreliable gypsy and regretting their partnership arrangement. He's probably still sleeping, that worker. After distributing invoices, crews departed to retrieve goods from the new supplier. At the industrial zone, installation teams were confronted by aggressive stray dogs that pursued vehicles with ferocious barking and exposed fangs. A guard silently emerged from his shelter, raised the barrier, indicated a distant direction with his gnarled finger, then demonstrated minimal hospitality by spitting over his shoulder. His expression appears particularly somber, Andre observed. Spend 24 hours in a guard booth at an industrial zone like a watchdog, with these monstrous canines nearby, and you develop worse expressions, Vitalik responded while navigating between warehouse structures. Behind them erupted gunshots accompanied by horrific squealing and howling. The installers' expressions tensed, eyebrows elevated. They exchanged glances before diligently examining warehouse numeration. The warehouse manager, tall and polite, contrasted markedly with typical warehouse personnel. The young man wore a pristine uniform and held a tablet containing Kostukov's shipment invoices. Nobody rushed frantically or shouted questions like, "Where's Kostukov's order?" or made confused inquiries. While the manager extolled the virtues of their windows, highlighting installation simplicity and additional supplier benefits, unlimited anchors, installation foam, and insulation tape, the installers discovered their windows had already been loaded by warehouse staff, quiet individuals in immaculate coveralls. Somewhat startled by such exceptional service, the installers signed the delivery documents and dispersed to their assigned locations. Tigrasha, what's our destination? Kolbin yawned every 5 minutes, infecting his partner with the same drowsiness. Zorgia Street, Building 12, Apartment 18, 2 windows. Ah, I recall that particular woman. I visited for measurements. A high-strung lady who refuses to renovate her apartment but replaces windows because of street noise. Listen, didn't she order Riha windows? What exactly are we delivering? Tigran briefly examined the documentation. The header indicated some LLC Mephisto. The window manufacturer was labeled as Doppel something. The name appeared in German script, and Tigran could only comprehend Russian and Armenian text. We delivering some kind of Doppel product. Who knows what precisely? We inform her that the German brand is superior, and if the lady protests, you explain she's fortunate. These are more expensive, but we reinstalling them at the original price. Understood? Understood. You becoming just like the nose. Perhaps you should pursue advertising? Your particular sausage would sell immediately at Pyatarachka. Oh, listen. I have a relative selling Bashkir honey. Perhaps you could become their barker? It's not actual honey but corn syrup with sugar, though you could sell absolutely anything. Tigran initially frowned with annoyance, then grinned. And you stand beside me playing accordion and singing melancholic tunes about your mother who gifted you a knitted cardigan. At Zorge Street, they encountered no difficulties. The elderly woman was delighted to receive supposedly premium windows at standard pricing. The installation proceeded remarkably smoothly. The window seemed to integrate naturally into the opening. Vitalik and Andre faced a fastidious client. At Vasenyaya Street, Building 16, a young man practically scrutinized the window frames through olfactory inspection. He persistently inquired, "Why is the glass package tinted? Will condensation form? What company manufactures these? Will the plastic discolor with age? Are these seals particularly rigid?" He exhausted the installers before they even commenced work. Nevertheless, ultimately the windows fit perfectly. The young man joyfully circulated through his apartment offering coffee, and after their refusal, presented a boxed bottle of cognac. By evening, they delivered the complimentary windows to the Nose's country house, simultaneously inspecting his substantial timber dwelling, before returning to their respective homes. Throughout the week, they installed Doppel windows. Even Kolbin ceased complaining about laborious work, as the frames practically self-inserted into openings. Orders flowed steadily. creating the impression that half the city had decided to replace windows. They frequently worked until darkness, sometimes completing 2 installations daily. Evening had descended upon the street. Lampposts illuminated, piercing the navy darkness with golden patches of light. Vitalik continued manipulating the frame, installing drip caps. The summer heat was oppressive and stifling. His back itched beneath the coveralls, his hands ached, and his partner remained absorbed in his mobile device. Andriuk, assist me, hold this section. He didn't. He detached from the wall as his colleague continued manipulating the phone screen. What's so incredibly fascinating there? The country guys with the geese. They went to perform installations in a rural area. Some received more window openings than others. Now they quarreling. What about you? I am resolving the situation. Wait just a moment. He.s. resolving, a damn negotiator. I am struggling alone here. Vitalik thought indignantly, then peripherally noticed movement reflected in the window. The obsidian mirror-like glass displayed his own reflection, the vacant room with stripped walls, and Andriuka with his phone. However, Vitalik's reflection wasn't positioned holding the window sill. It moved independently, approaching Andre while clutching a hammer. A forceful strike sent thin Andriuka in one direction while his phone sailed like an iridescent fish in another. Another blow dislodged an eye. A barrage of strikes from above created an indentation in the skull, blood splattering across walls. His partner's body ceased convulsing. The figure in the window pivoted and observed the paralyzed Marahine. Coal-black eyes, disheveled hair, and a face devoid of mouth, merely smooth skin smeared with crimson. Beneath the skin, jawbones undulated prominently, stretching the cheeks as though the entity behind the glass was screaming silently. Observing the bloody heap of remains that formerly constituted his colleague, Vitalik felt rivulets of perspiration cascading down his spine. His knees weakened. He gripped the windowsill to maintain balance. What exactly are you holding? Vital, hey, what's wrong? Are you unwell? He heard Andriuka's voice behind him and turned gradually. Everything in the room remained unchanged, except his partner had detached from the wall and was approaching to provide assistance. Finally, the young man swiftly turned, capturing in the glass the vanishing reflection of his doppelganger, which disappeared momentarily. The window reverted to its status as an ordinary dark mirror. Whatever existed beyond the glass seemingly retreated, as though defeated by the slender barrier, dissolving and abandoning attempts to infiltrate. Throughout the journey home, Vitalik trembled continuously. He refrained from relating anything to his partner, fearing ridicule, heat exhaustion, fatigue, who knows what hallucinations might manifest. At home, he consumed several shots of vodka for sedation, then attempted sleep, tossing restlessly while contemplating the nature of his vision. Perhaps schizophrenia was developing. He reached the appropriate age. Such conditions typically emerge after 30. After receiving several nudges from his wife, whom he was preventing from sleeping, he eventually calmed and fell into a fragmented, nervous slumber. Morning revealed he lacked a working partner. Andriuka had fallen ill. Though Vitalik couldn't identify specific ailments, his colleague requested 3 unpaid leave days. Vitalik considered partnering with Ruslan, with whom he previously collaborated, but Ruslan declined. Something adversely affected him as well. He was experiencing poor health. The nose scurried through the entrance hall, rubbing his hands with satisfaction. Windows were selling like freshly baked pastries. Competitors lurked vigilantly, eyes narrowed like German soldiers behind barricades, attempting to determine Kostukov's merchandise source. Either the nose maneuvered extraordinarily well, or the new suppliers avoided self-promotion. The Doppel windows remained unavailable to other companies. Zorge Street, Building 12. Vera Sergeyevna reclined before her television in a plush velour armchair, head propped on one hand, enjoying a magnificent film. Gone with the Wind was broadcasting on the Culture Channel. Occasionally she sighed, lamenting that her life's journey had never intersected with a worthy male companion. She managed everything independently. Now entering her 6th decade, her existence had lacked romance and passion. How she yearned for fidelity, floral arrangements, farewells followed by reunions. Her pleasant contemplation was disrupted by thunderous footfalls from above. Boom, 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 a ball pounding against the neighbor's floor. Crystal pendants on the glass chandelier rattled plaintively. Walls trembled from the child's energetic leaps. Lord, when will this cease? When will they begin engaging with him properly? Perhaps read him stories? He races around after kindergarten like one possessed, thought Vera Sergeyevna as she increased the television volume. 10 minutes later, she amplified it further. The child continued running, falling, dropping heavy objects, and squealing joyfully. The woman's temples began throbbing. She rose and proceeded to the kitchen to prepare tea, hoping to find relative tranquility, but the small neighbor's running route incorporated the kitchen area. Limited mobility options in a one-room apartment. She couldn't, voice complaints. Children will be children, but why did they permit such behavior? Why disregard those residing below? Am I not human? Can I not enjoy evening relaxation? All Vera Sergeyevna's questions remained unanswered. Tea consumed. Enthusiasm for film watching diminished. 9:00 evening. The child maintained his perpetual motion, occasionally squealing and falling. Vera Sergeyevna perceived each impact like a weight crashing upon her cranium, headache intensifying. Damn you, little miscreant, she thought vehemently, turning toward the window. A ripple traversed the obsidian mirror like glass. Vera blinked confusedly. The window reflected an elderly, somewhat plump woman with disheveled gray hair, inexplicably wearing an evening robe in an evening kitchen. A young boy, approximately 4 years old, clad only in white underpants, darted into the kitchen. The woman seized the youngster's arm, yanking upward, shaking him vigorously before delivering a powerful open-handed slap. The child's head jerked backward, blood flowing from his nose. Clearly, he was gasping through his screams, howling, yet the woman continued unabated, striking repeatedly, aiming increasingly higher, connecting with his head. Blood sprayed, spattering the white kitchen furniture. Suddenly, she thrust the child to the floor and pivoted toward the paralyzed Verachka, an old woman with features distorted by malice. Black hollow eyes stretched into grotesque slits, lips sewn shut with thick thread. With horror, Vera Sergeyevna recognized herself in this elderly figure. With trembling hands, she explored her own face, struggling to comprehend the situation. How could that be her reflection in the window? The old woman stood swaying, movement behind her stitched mouth suggesting speech. Dark threads pierced through skin, blackened fluid trickling down her chin. She raised one hand, then vanished. Vera Sergeyevna regained consciousness on the floor, medication scattered nearby. The window reflected nothing unusual. Silence permeated the residence. Rising on unsteady legs, she staggered to the sofa and reclined. The television continued broadcasting, though she remained indifferent. Curling her legs beneath herself, she gazed vacantly at the screen. Following the midnight news, activity resumed upstairs. Running footsteps, shouting, a woman's wailing. Within 10 minutes, ambulance sirens penetrated the quiet. Vanechka, Vanechka, the neighbor woman cried. Someone rushed down the building stairwell. The ambulance departed, carrying its wails into the distance. Then silence descended. Vasenyaya Street, Building 16. The apartment gleamed from recent renovations. Dennis circled his domain, contentedly caressing new possessions. Finally his own. He designed the interior himself, selected materials, enduring numerous confrontations with his wife and mother-in-law. They invariably chose tasteless options. Wallpaper with hideous roses or marble effect flooring. He entered the kitchen where his wife bustled preparing dinner. Her parents were expected that evening. Katya, is it ready soon? The young man filched a slice of sausage from a platter of cold cuts, ravenous as a wolf. Be patient, it's not finished. Mother advised the meat must simmer until their arrival. Mother said, Dennis mimicked his wife mockingly. What can you accomplish without maternal guidance? This, the young woman smiled, planting a kiss on his cheek. Did she specifically recommend pleasing your husband with frequent kisses? Beneath his sarcasm, mild irritation surfaced. Certainly not. She never suggests such things. I am apparently unworthy of her precious daughter, a plebeian from rural origins. Dennis endeavored to demonstrate respect toward his wife's family, but occasionally their snobbery and hypocrisy infuriated him. Their own parents originated from some inconsequential village, relocating to the city during the 1970s, yet they portrayed themselves as aristocracy. The doorbell interrupted his thoughts. Dinner proceeded with formal civility. Dennis gallantly replenished his mother-in-law's wine. Her husband favored vodka. The meat proved delicious. Salads fragrant with onions and herbs disappeared with remarkable speed. They toasted the newlyweds, housewarming, wishing prolonged happiness and increasing prosperity. Mom, Dad, we have an announcement, the young woman spoke nervously, embracing her husband for support. Her parents' expressions transformed. Her mother frowned, maintaining direct eye contact while articulating precisely. If this concerns what I suspect, you'll visit a doctor tomorrow. It's premature. Mom, wait, you misunderstand. Silence. You're merely 23. I want to permit you to destroy your future, especially with this individual. The woman leapt up, gesturing accusingly toward her son-in-law, who observed with slackened jaw what he considered an irrational response, then stormed toward the hallway. The young woman's father downed another vodka measure, disapprovingly grunted, and extricated himself from the table. I'll contact a clinic tomorrow. I refuse to let you propagate a family of paupers. Have you considered your future? What can this failure provide? What business does he have with children when he can barely manage his own affairs? She bellowed from the entryway. Mom, what nonsense are you spouting? We simply wanted to adopt a cat. The young woman dissolved into tears, abandoning the table and fleeing kitchenward. So that's my status, a failure? Very well, dear mother and father. I hope you'll never cross my threshold again. Indeed? The woman arched an eyebrow. May I remind you, Dennis, this apartment was purchased by us and legally belongs to me. Your contribution toward renovations was negligible. Therefore, I shall appear in my property whenever I desire, regardless of your preferences. Understood? She extracted her spouse onto the landing and slammed the door emphatically. In the kitchen, the young woman continued sobbing, oblivious that through the window behind her, a figure resembling Dennis was being murdered by her mother. A knife plunged repeatedly into his soft abdomen, slicing his face from ear to ear. Gripping his hair, she dragged him across the floor, spitting contemptuously, repeatedly spitting upon him. A raindrop slid down the glass, and the window once again revealed the yellow squares of the building across the street. That morning, Vitalik's wife, her eyes swollen from tears, told him she wanted a divorce. Her mother was in intensive care with an uncertain prognosis, and she didn't know how she would cope without her. The same morning, Vitalik was caught off guard by a call from Olechka, the sales manager. She begged him to visit 6 addresses. Customers were complaining about recently installed windows, demanding immediate removal and refunds, calling her a fraud and a witch. I sold them the best product, bent over backwards for each one, and now they screaming at me, Olya complained. Vitalik, go check what's wrong. And our director Yevgeny Ivanovich has disappeared somewhere, not answering his phone. Why me? Let Tigran go, or Kolbin. He can talk anyone around. Kolbin is completely unreachable, and Tigran says he installed everything properly, so there can't be any claims against him. Well, this is as bad as my life before 8th grade, sighed Marahin, scratching the back of his head. He certainly needed to help Olechka. It would earn him good orders later, but he really didn't want to listen to these dissatisfied clients. He remembered a recent picky woman who thought the plastic looked not white enough, and insisted to Vitalik that it was not white, but milky, with a gray tint. Fine, send me the addresses, I'll go check them out. At 4 of the 6 addresses, Vitalik encountered police operatives working in the apartments. According to people sitting on benches near the entrances, suicides. The clients had simply hanged themselves. One had cut his veins, and one original fellow had jumped out of the window. At 2 addresses, no one opened the door. Sitting on a bench near the last entrance to smoke, Vitalik noticed an old woman dragging a heavy-wheeled shopping bag. He offered help and, having received permission, lugged the impossibly heavy bag up the stairs to the 4th floor. "Granny, do you know when the people in apartment 15 will be back from work? They called me, but no one's home. I am here about the windows," Mariheen asked, trying to make conversation during the climb with the load. "Ah, the computer guy from 15, Valera lives there. A secretive type, living alone for years since his mother died. No girlfriends, no friends. He's homely looking. What girls would want him? He often cries. We can hear everything here. And he doesn't come home from work. He works at home on his computer. That's possible nowadays, unlike in our time. Back then, anyone sitting at home would immediately be prosecuted as a freeloader. So he's home, you just need to knock harder." I did knock. Well, he was also knocking yesterday, it was already late. I heard something rustling, and him shouting, I hate. But who could he hate? There's no one else in the apartment. Maybe he's gone crazy from loneliness. The old woman twirled her finger by her temple and took keys out of her skirt pocket. "Thank you, I couldn't have managed by myself." Connecting the dots between the presence of investigators at previous addresses and the fact that Valera from apartment 15 wasn't opening the door, Vitalik decided not to knock anymore. Something incomprehensible was happening. Going downstairs, he called Tigran, who didn't pick up right away, making Mariheen anxious. Hello, Tigran," Vitalik shouted when the rings stopped. "Why are you shouting? What's wrong? Listen, Tiga, some weird shit is happening. Olya gave me addresses of dissatisfied customers. I went to all of them. I can say with certainty they all dead. One hanged himself, another jumped out of a window. Understand? But yesterday they were all shouting that our windows are crap and everything needs to be returned, demanding money. Maybe the boss is eliminating the dissatisfied customers? What is he to you, Don Corleone? I think the windows are defective. Maybe the plastic is emitting some poisonous gas, making people go crazy and hang themselves. Listen, Kostyukov also has 4 windows at his dacha. We installed them the day before yesterday. Olya said the boss is in Altai today. Maybe we should go check it out? Vitalik suggested worriedly. Let's go. I'll head there now too. Don't go in without me. Wait by the gate. While driving to Kostyukov's dacha, Vitalik turned on the radio. The announcer was talking about the weather, then moved on to crime news. An inexplicable wave of suicides has swept our city. At present, according to operational reports, 14 people have taken their lives. There has also been an increase in serious illnesses. Yesterday, 38 people in critical condition were admitted to intensive care. Our experts attribute this to deteriorating environmental conditions and coincidence with the solar flare that occurred on Wednesday, which was the most powerful in the last 12 years. All these factors have severely affected the physical and mental health of our citizens. Tigran's car was already at the gates of Kostyukov's dacha. The gate was open, and Vitalik went in. Near the house stood Tigran with his phone ready, photographing something. Tiga, what are you doing here? What are you taking pictures of? Shish, quiet, I am recording video. He'll come out in a second. Suddenly, from around the corner ran Yevgeny Ivanovich Kostyukov, naked, on all fours. He raced along the house and disappeared behind the veranda. That's his 8th lap. Tigran whispered with satisfaction. Look how it's affected him. On the 10th lap, the boss ran out of steam and lay down near the porch. Then the installers dared to approach him. Yevgeny Ivanovich, are you unwell? Vitalik shook his boss's shoulder. The boss surveyed the space with completely insane eyes and stammered. It wasn't me. I didn't want to. Not me. The monster, she asked for it herself. It wasn't me. He showed me. The boss howled and curled up into a ball. That's it. We need to call the psychiatric hospital, Tigran concluded. By evening, Tigran and Vitalik were giving statements. Initially, they hoped the psychiatric team catch the boss, but then the police arrived and the questioning began. They found the body of Kostyukov's wife, born in 1970, torn beyond recognition, and a pile of bloody garden tools in the house. The installers remembered that the boss constantly complained that he couldn't stand the dacha because his wife had decided to plant half the plot with potatoes. They drove away at dusk, completely bewildered by what was happening. On the way back to the city, Vitalik noticed brightly illuminated billboards along the highway. He immediately realized they were advertising the windows they installed, but the advertising slogan was too long to read properly in a second. Only as he approached the city could he piece together the words into a sentence that no one could refuse. Mirror windows. Stay silent, our windows will speak for you. Well then, if they watched this video to the end, it clearly held interest for you. I ask that you spend literally just 20 more seconds writing a comment, because your opinion or even a simple emoji is all that's missing for promotion. Who, if not you, will help me with this? I suggest you watch some other videos from those presented, while I rush off to create a new story for you. I shake your hand, bro, and if you're a girl, then I hug you tightly.